Hey guys, Sam with Troops Mowing here. I'm going to show you in this video how to go from 0 to 100,000 a year in annual revenue for your lawn care company. Now, we used to operate our company out of the back of my wife's 2021 Ford Focus, and now we have this beautiful shop space, 3 offices, nice trucks with ramp racks, and it did not happen overnight. It took a lot of hard work, but we had to start somewhere. And that's the gist of this video, is you have to start somewhere, and I'm going to give you actionable insight into how you can do it effectively and smart, because I need you to learn from my mistakes and I need you to get going forward as fast as you possibly can. Now, right now at our unit, it is raining straight from the clouds. But after this video, I'm hoping it's raining money for you. So cheesy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So this video, what I want to do is I want to give you extremely actionable steps on going from literally $0 to $100,000 a year in annual revenue. And I'm going to break this video up into 4 different steps or 4 different priorities. And if you follow these 4 steps in order, you should be seeing the results to grow your company from 0 to 100,000. Now, before I start, I want to say that I'm going to assume that this is somebody who already has a cheap push mower, a cheap string trimmer, a cheap leaf blower, and they are going to, we'll stay on the call, and we are going to pursue this full time. So if you're not actually mowing a lawn, you are out there doing some sort of task that's going to benefit filling up the schedule. That's the baseline assumption. So the step number 1 is kind of a 2-part step. So you want to book jobs and you want to identify your production rate. Identifying your production rate is something that we did not do growing from 0 to 100,000, and it's something that you need to do growing. It's something you need to do sooner rather than later. But step number 1, you can't identify your production rate unless you mow your own lawn and kind of do it that way. You can't properly identify your production rate unless you have jobs on the schedule. So the ultimate priority there is to book jobs. Now, how do you book jobs? What we did is I put a Google business profile. Back then it was Google My Business. I just did a listing. I had some BS name. My company used to be called Vets Mowing instead of Troops Mowing. We couldn't get congressional approval to use the word vets, so we had to switch it up. But I just put a random Google business profile listing up there. And our first call ever from a customer came from, I believe that first call was from Google Business Profile. So before I ever knocked on a door, before I ever had a logo, before I ever even had a truck, I had a Google Business Profile and got our first customer from them. Shortly thereafter, I would go knock on doors, and this whole company was just a God's blessing. And I went and knocked on doors and I prayed and we got some customers. You have to do whatever you can do to go and get customers. At the very beginning stages, you will have more time than you will have money. What does that mean? You need to go knock on doors and ask for business. Because if you're doing this full time, as I said in the assumptions, that's all you'll have time to do. You're not mowing a lawn. You have to go and get the job. Another cool thing, let's say that you have, let's say $100 to throw around. You can go on Vistaprint, and actually we got this design, we kind of tweaked it. But we got this concept from Lawn Care Media. I think that's what it's called with Mike Andes. It's the Instant Quote door hangers. Now, this is for a flower bed cleanup, but you could do it for lawn mowing. What it is we have our reviews link up top to add some credibility. You're not going to have any reviews. So just have this link to your Google Business Profile. Or if you have a form that you want them to submit for whatever reason, have a QR code there. You probably don't even need a QR code if you're going from 0 to 100,000. But you want to have some sort of credibility, make these look professional, have a phone number, have your website. Which if you probably won't have a website at 0, but get a website, even if it's a cheap one, sooner rather than later. On the back side, this is where all the magic happens. You're going to have any notes you want here. You're going to submit the price or fill in the price before you hang this on their door. So let's say that this is a lawn mowing job, and you're going to want to put, let's say your minimum price is $40 for a lawn mowing service. Just put $40 there and go hang up 1,000 door hangers. You might get a 1% conversion rate on that, but 1% on 1,000 is going to be 10. So you're going to get 10 customers from 1,000 door hangers. That's amazing, especially just for going out because you have time. Now, one tip I will say is speed over accuracy. Who cares if you get the pricing right on your first couple of customers? You just want customers. You want money in the account. You want cash flow coming in. So just get these door hangers out, and if you have $500, let's say you have all the equipment, cheap equipment, you don't need anything crazy, and $500. I would spend $500 on these door hangers. I'd dump it all into these door hangers, and I would go pass them out right in the spring rush preferably. Let's say late February, early March. Get as many of these door hangers on doors as you possibly can. I can guarantee you this alone is going to get you some great customers. I would also, if you're going from 0 to 100,000, you just need customers on the schedule. You don't care about quality of customers at this point. I would even put a promotion on here. What I think a great promotion would be is second cut for $1. Why $1? I don't know. I think having your second cut as $1 catches more eyes than second cut free. You can disagree with me all you want in the comments, but there's some sort of psychology behind it where if it's only $1, it catches your eye more than free because people use the word free too much and it's overplayed. So you can say second cut for $1. Well, Sam, why don't I do the first cut for $1? Because you're going to get a lot of people with overgrown lawns abusing that promotion and you're going to get burnt out. Trust me, do the second cut for $1 and you're going to get a bunch of customers. Now you have jobs on the schedule. Now you want to identify your production rate. What is a production rate? You want to figure out how many square feet you can mow per minute. Get as many jobs on the schedule, start your timer, stop your timer as soon as you start the job and end the job. And then you want to take that total time and figure out how many square feet you've mowed in that minute. So if it's a 5,000 square foot property, how long did it take you? 5,000 divided by time is your square feet per minute. That's your production rate. Now you want to figure that out over many lawns and kind of find the average and go with that production rate. So that's going to be your priority number 1. Priority number 2 is now going to be backwards plan. So before we get into that, let's imagine that you spent the whole first month getting jobs on the schedule and identifying production rate. Now it's time to backwards plan. And I'm going to pull up this Microsoft sheet right here. All right, I'm hoping you guys can see this. So let's go with some assumptions. Let's say that you found out that your production rate was 120 square feet a minute. Your labor rate that you're going to charge to the customer is going to be $65 an hour. Well, Sam, that sounds crazy. I'm not a doctor. I don't deserve $65 an hour. Yes, you do, because you're offering a service that people don't want to do themselves. And just because you charge $65 an hour does not mean you get $65 an hour. Let's just put it, you have expenses, you have inefficiencies. That's just going to be your benchmark that you set to your customers. This past year, our price per hour to our customers was $85 per hour. So I've talked to different business owners and they've had $65 an hour and they think that's expensive. It's expensive to you and me because we would never pay somebody $65 an hour to mow our lawn. We'll mow it ourselves. But we are not our customers. Charge what you are worth. If you break $65 an hour down into a price per minute, you get $1.08 per minute that you're charging to the customer. Peak season. Let's just assume for easy math that 80% of your revenue is made in your peak season, and let's say that your peak season is 8 months long. You go from middle of March to middle of October. Let's say that you find that your average property size that you're getting is 5,000 square feet. Now you got to figure out what you're going to charge the customer because you're charging them $65 per hour, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to take an hour to mow their property. So you're not going to say your lawn is $65 if it takes you 20 minutes. You have to figure out your price to the customer. How do you do that? You take your property size, you divide that by your production rate, and you multiply that by your price per minute. So you take 5,000 square feet divided by 120 square feet per minute, multiplied by $1.08 per minute. For this property, you would charge that customer $45.36. So now that we have all of our assumptions, now we need a backwards plan. This subscriber said his goal was to have $100,000 in annual revenue. Well, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that if you backwards plan. Using the 80% rule, $80,000 will be made in peak season revenue. $20,000 will be made in your November through February. The visits per peak season. So we know that we have to make $80,000 in our peak season to be able to get to that $100,000 for that 12-month calendar year. So to find how many visits that you need in your peak season, you're going to take $80,000 divided by your price to the customer, and we're going to round up here. That's 1,764 visits that you need to complete in 8 months. If we break that down per month, that's 221 visits that you need to complete per month to hit your $100,000 a year in annual revenue. Now, if you are a company that offers, or you only offer weekly services, so you go to a customer's property once per week to mow their lawn, you would need 56 customers, assuming that this price point is what you would charge for weekly. If you have bi-weekly customers, which is what we do as a company, if you have bi-weekly customers, you would need 112 bi-weekly customers, assuming this is what you charge for a bi-weekly rate. Granted, you're going to charge more for bi-weekly than you would for weekly. We're getting into the weeds. That's another video for another time. So now this is how you backwards plan. So you say, I know that let's say you offer weekly services. You can say, I know that I need 56 customers to get to my $100,000 a year, assuming all of these assumptions are correct. Now, when you were booking jobs and you were getting identifying your production rate that first month, you should have calculated your cost per lead, your conversion rates. How many flyers does it take to get one customer? So let's imagine that you have a 1% conversion rate. That's what you found when you're passing out those instant quote door hangers. If you need 56 customers, and let's imagine you got your first 10 from those door hangers. So now you need 46 more customers to get to that threshold of making 6 figures a year. So you need 46 more customers, and you have a 1% conversion rate. That means that you need to purchase 4,600 more instant quote door hangers and go get those out as fast as possible. Because if that 1% conversion rate holds true, you will have your customers by the end of month 2 to make 6 figures a year. It is literally quite that simple. It's not easy, it's simple. Now, priority number 3, you want to make sure that you're scheduling off of budgeted hours. Sam, what is budgeted hours? It's basically a metric that shows you how much work you have on the schedule in accordance with your production rate and average property size, so on and so forth. So to find out your budgeted hours, and we'll find out our budgeted hours for this make-believe customer we just had, we'll take their property size, divide that by the production rate, divide that by 60 minutes in an hour. So 5,000 square feet divided by 120 square feet a minute divided by 60 minutes, that's 0.69 budgeted hours is what you are having on the schedule for that property. So in other words, it's going to take you 0.69 hours to complete that property. When you're solo, you're going to be extremely efficient. Your goal should be anywhere from 36 to 40 budgeted hours a week if you're doing this full time. So if you find your budgeted hours per property and your goal is 36 budgeted hours a week, that can show you how to schedule and how to fill out your schedule with all your customers. Because not every single property is going to be 5,000 square feet. You might have a 2,000 square foot property. You might have a 12,000 square foot property. Now, if you have 10, 12,000 square foot properties, you're probably not going to want to put them all on the same day. Having budgeted hours per property will help you schedule accordingly and be efficient so that you don't get burnt out. So this is how you go from $0 to 6 figures in a year. Like I said, it is simple. It's not easy. It's going to take a lot of long days in the heat. You're going to sweat a lot. You're going to lose some weight. Unfortunately, I haven't mowed a whole lot of lawns here lately. That's why I'm looking a little chubby. But you should be getting out there and enjoying life. If you like to work outside and you like to be out in the elements, in the hot and the cold and the dry and the wet, this job is for you. And one more tip. You're gonna be able to get to 6 figures without an employee. Don't get an employee if you can afford it, because having a 6-figure company solo, and let's assume that you're working out of your garage or a cheap storage unit, and really all you have to pay for is your credit card processing fees, your gas, and you're gonna take your profit for the company is the same pay that you're gonna pay yourself because you're either a sole proprietor or a single member LLC. You're going to be profitable. You're going to be 65, 70, 75% more, maybe even more profitable. What does that mean? If you can make 6 figures a year mowing lawns, you can make $80,000 a year salary for yourself, take home pay. by a solo operator. It's easy. It's simple, not easy. My bad. Screwed it up at the last minute. So be it. Hope you guys like this, man. Take care.